Hey everybody, it's Chris. Thanks for watching our show here about post-hype sleepers, players in the past who have gotten a fair amount of hype, who aren't getting very much hype this season, and therefore I think could wind up making interesting draft picks depending on where we can get them. Now, if you listen to my podcast, you know I did this topic on the show with Jeff Erickson. I kept a couple of names from that show, and I want to show you some film on them, and then I added a couple of names here too because, let's face it, we do not lack for hype in the fantasy football world, and we don't lack for post-hype either, so I thought I'd mix up some names as well. Let's dig right in. First name on my list did not appear in the podcast. I have Darwin Thompson, the running back for the Kansas City Chiefs. Did Darwin Thompson get hyped last year? You know he did. He made his way up into the 6th round of some drafts last summer. We had to listen to how much he squatted, how much coaches love him. And then he played an average of 8 snaps a game as a rookie. Whoops. So now we're talking double-digit rounds for Darwin, and rightly so, because Clyde Edwards-Helaire is there, and DeAndre Washington is there too. I can't tell you for sure what Thompson does in 2020, if anything. This snap from last year came in a meaningful game. It's probably a fair representation of what Thompson is as a running back. Inside handoff at a shotgun. You can obviously see that Thompson is quite short compared to his offensive lineman, 5'8", and a hole does present itself, and he doesn't square it off with a single cut the way I'd love to see, but he only needs 2 steps to hit it hard, and then he drags some dudes along with him. In this game, trailing in the second half against the Titans, here's a little flat pass, and he's wide open. He's going to make hay here, and we will not be submitting this one to Canton. This is the kind of play that maybe made the Chiefs think that maybe they did not have their man in Darwin Thompson. He hesitates. He doesn't really hit it. Doesn't do much of anything except fall down. In a blowout over the Raiders, this is the kind of run that maybe hints at the outside zone player Thompson might be at some point when the cutback lane winds up not being there and the running back can still get to the edge and turn the corner. That's speed, that's quickness, and then jump over a guy. A little bit interesting. And in the open field, I think the optimistic Thompson people last season imagined this kind of work all year where, a glancing blow doesn't drag him down. He's short, but he's strong. He's not a pushover. There's a little bit of, let's say, Devin Singletary possibilities at his limited size, or maybe could I even say Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Now, there's a reason that Darwin Thompson is basically free in fantasy drafts. I understand it. Edwards-Helaire is there, and Washington is there, and Darrell Williams is there. I don't really know what the usage is going to be, but I'm not sure the hype should have gotten so much less on Thompson. If he's free at the end of drafts, I am winding up with him a fair amount of the time in like the 12th or the 13th round. Okay, we'll get to the rest of the list in just a second. Let me thank today's sponsors. I'm wearing them on my face. It's Felix Gray. These Felix Gray glasses are absolutely great. We are all spending more time in front of screens these days, sometimes double-digit hours in a single day. If you get headaches or dry eyes or blurry vision like I did, Felix Gray glasses can help. Every pair of Felix Grays filters out the blue light that comes from our screens that our eyes are not equipped to handle so much of. Reasonable prices. You can get your glasses in prescription or not. Delivery and returns are always free. And really, if your eyes bug you after a long day of screens, I can tell you from personal experience, Felix Grays really helped me. My eyes feel better. Please do support the sponsors. They help keep the channel going. Have a look. FelixGrayGlasses.com/HarrisTube. Okay, when I talked post-hype Sleepers with Jeff on the podcast, Robby Anderson was on my list, and I think it's worth talking about him here. I don't mean to promise you that I'm positive Robby Anderson is headed for, the number 20 wide receiver season. I don't know that for sure. I honestly don't think we should be treating him so much differently than we did last year when he was drafted in the 6th round. Just let's refamiliarize ourselves. You know what Robby Anderson does. He has elite speed, and his best thing is taking on a defender one-on-one and going deep. And in this case, when a defender lets him get even, if he's even, he's leaving. That's what they say, right? And Anderson will go to the post, and he is open. If there's no safety there, no defensive back is going to stop him. This one, Anderson is doubled. He's going to run as the single slot right, and the ball probably should get checked down to Le'Veon Bell on a linebacker out of the backfield, and Bell seems to think so too. But Sam Darnold says, what the heck, take the shot. Really good throw and a great catch. And I don't want to lose sight of the fact that Anderson might not be a rugged, over-the-middle type. He's also not a poodle. There are technical strengths to his game. This is a back shoulder catch 35 yards down the field with quite nice footwork on the sidelines. And he'll even occasionally get some work in the red zone and score a touchdown, even though that's obviously, he's not really a jump ball guy. He's not really like a box you out guy. It's not his best thing, but he'll do it. You know what his best thing is. And I just don't think I buy that he can't do some of this deep stuff with Teddy Bridgewater when he's in Carolina. Do I think he makes himself an every week fantasy star? No, but we never thought that in New York either. I think DJ Moore is the every week fantasy star. I also don't think DJ Moore's presence takes away Anderson's potential week winning upside. Bridgewater's arm isn't pathetic. He can loft it up real high. Anderson finishes a top 40 receiver last year on a diet of 6 targets per game. Can he get 6 targets per game this year? He's getting drafted as the wide receiver 60-something. It's a good price. Okay, I think Tarik Cohen qualifies as post-hype as well. Even in standard leagues last year, he was a 7th-round draft pick. In PPR, he was well into the 5th or 6th. And with good reason, in 2018, Cohen finished as the PPR RB11. Things went sour for him in 2019, but he still caught 79 passes. I think the big plays are still lurking in that little body. If you don't think the kid's still electric, I just think you're wrong. He's probably still the fastest running back in the league, and his elusiveness isn't that far behind. Sure, yes, he weighs 190 pounds soaking wet, and I don't really care that he did yoga this offseason. He probably couldn't run over Aunt Nora, but he is not much fun in space. Unless you believe that he's all athlete and not a skilled football player, let me remind you of this route and this footwork catching a back shoulder fade at the pylon against the Rams last year. And I mean, look at this little maniac in space. I think by now you've probably heard that Cohen in 2019, he's a terribly inefficient player. How does a guy who catches 79 passes only go for 456 yards? I mean, he got tackled a lot, but let me answer your question with a question. Is there something different about Cohen as an athlete from a season before when he caught 71 passes but got 725 yards? Or is it just one of those things, maybe a worse offense, maybe some bad luck? Especially in a PPR league, I just don't think things should have changed in our estimation of Cohen so much that we once regarded him as a top 30 PPR running back, and now he's barely top 40 and way outside of that for standard leagues. I grant you, if you draft Cohen, you need the Bears not to be the NFL's 29th best offense again. But that can happen. We saw it happen 2 years ago. If you stash Cohen in the 8th or the 9th, it might be a gambit worth making. And lastly, let me talk about Mike Williams, who's barely going inside the top 50 wideouts a season after he was a consensus 5th-round pick, and for Keenan Allen haters, he was worth taking in the 4th last summer. 2 years ago, Williams was probably overrated coming out of the 2018 season with 10 touchdowns on just 43 catches. Well, this year, I think he's clearly underrated. He only scored twice on 49 catches, but still got over 1,000 yards receiving. How does Williams win? It's not that fancy, but it's effective. He's 6'4", he's 220 pounds, yet he runs like this. He's a 4'5", 40 guy at that huge size. It's not Julio Jones territory, but it is Kenny Golladay territory, Mike Evans territory. And if Big Mike struggled at all last year, it wasn't because he suddenly got smaller or slower. It's that Phillip Rivers wasn't good, especially throwing the deep ball, and yet even on a pass that Rivers had to throw hilariously early to get it there, Williams can still make that play on a ball. He is a really good player. Touchdowns are random. Williams didn't get terrible at scoring them last year, just like he wasn't the best in history, racking up 10 in 2018. I would love to see Williams get more than 6 targets per game, but he's proven in back-to-back seasons he actually doesn't need that to do pretty great statistical things, either score a bunch of touchdowns or improbably get to 1,000 yards receiving. And one more thing about Williams, we're showing you these scores here. These are all from 2018. He's a dominant red zone player. He's massive. He's a leaper. He's no fun to guard. He wasn't used this way last year. It just didn't work out. I don't see any reason why he can't go back to plays like this on a regular basis. All of which is a way of saying, you know this, touchdowns are random. And if you're benefiting from the market losing interest in Mike Williams because he scored 2 last year, and if you're maybe getting people who are, I don't know, for some reason sad that Phillip Rivers isn't shot-putting him footballs anymore, well, I think there's a chance for a buying opportunity here. Get Williams in the 11th or the 12th round a year after the 4th or the 5th. And that, as they say, will do it. Please let us know some of your post-hype sleepers down in the comments. Make sure you listen to the podcast. I'm doing them 5 times a week now. You can find my ranks at harrisfootball.com and go get that almanac too. And most importantly, might I mention, please subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much for watching. Please, please, please smash that like button. Write a comment, tell us who else you'd like to see us review film on, and of course, best of all, please subscribe to our channel and then click that little bell above the subscribe button and you'll be notified whenever we post a new video.